Welcome to another Digital Anarchy tutorial. I'm Jim Tierney, president of Digital Anarchy, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about our new free plugin, Flicker Freak. It'll add some freaky flicker to your video. It's kind of a complement to our paid plugin, which is Flicker Free, which does a great job of removing various types of flicker from video. But in this case, we figured we'd do a free plugin that lets you add flicker back in. And that's what Flicker Freak does, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's dive into it. You can see I have a scary, deserted hallway. And what I'm going to do is sort of simulate the effect that if these lights were broken and kind of flickering. Sort of the malfunctioning light that you see in a lot of horror movies or other types of situations where they're trying to create a dramatic, scary type of feel. And you can see if I play this back, it's just a regular still image of a hallway. Not all that exciting. But now we're going to add Flicker Freak to it and make it very exciting. So let's add Flicker Freak to it. And you can see that I'm in Premiere. This works pretty much the same in all the other different apps. And we'll show After Effects in just a second as well. But if you're in Final Cut Pro or Avid or whatever, this works exactly the same. You just apply it to your clip. And you can see it's a fairly simple plugin. There's really only a few parameters. So I'll go over what those mean. So freak time is the amount of frames that the image goes dark for. And you can see that when I applied the filter, my image turned black. And so what I'm going to do is go back a frame. And so what's happening is the original image, be it a still image or video footage, will be on for 2 frames, and then it'll be off by some number of frames. And that number of frames is freak time. And so you can see that we're on for 1 frame, 2 frames, and now we're off for 1 frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, on 1, on 2, off 1, off 2, off 3, on 1, and so on. And so that's what freak time controls. And let's open this up a little bit. Now we can randomize that, and random freak is the percentage. So let's say we set freak time to 2, so it'll be off for every 2 frames. And we set freak time or random freak to 50. What's going to happen here is the number of frames that the image is off is going to be 2 plus or minus 50%. So in this case, 50% of 2 is 1. And so our range would be anywhere from 1 frame to 3 frames. And you can see that if I come back down to my timeline here and start moving forward, on 1, on 2, off 1, so just 1 frame there. And then on 1, on 2, off 1, on 1, on 2, off 1, off 2, and so on. And so if I keep going through that, you'll see various different lengths of the image being off from anywhere from 1 frame to 3 frames. And so now if I play this back, we can see that we start off with our normal little hallway here. And then suddenly it becomes dark and scary. So that's what Flicker Freak does. It just basically adds some freaky flicker to your video. And you'll also notice that it's adjusting the contrast of the image a little bit, sort of increasing the shadow areas. If I turn Flicker Freak off, you'll see that it's a little bit less contrasty. And what this is trying to simulate is what happens to your eye when you're in this situation with a strobe light. And you tend to see the brighter areas more than you see the areas that are in shadow, just because, everything's flickering on and off. Your eye is drawn to the bright areas, and so that's what you tend to see more of. Now you can also increase the contrast, and that's what the increase freaky does. You can see that we have more contrast now. Or you can completely turn it off. And we'll set unmasked, and that'll show the original image. And so with unmasked selected, we're not doing any contrast adjustment at all. You're just seeing the original image as if we turn the effect off. But with an unmasked turned off, we do the contrast adjustment, and increased freaky makes it more contrasty. We turn that off, it gets a little bit less contrasty, and so on. And in this case, we'll turn it off. And we'll play that back again one more time. And you can see the freaky flicker that's happening. Ooh, scary. All right. Now, once you've done that, of course, it's always good to come in and add an elephant. So that's what we're going to do. So we have our normal hallway, our scary hallway, and then we have the maniacal elephant. Because you always need a maniacal elephant if you have a dark hallway. Come on. Work with me, people. All right. So you can see that we have our dark hallway. We have our scary, freaky elephant with the chainsaw breaking our camera. And, you know, these are important things to have. So that's the way Flicker Freak works. You can do some other interesting things with it. Obviously, you can combine other effects. You can do your own color correction adjustments, and that's partially what the unmasked control is for. So if you want to not use our color correction or contrast adjustment, you can certainly apply all sorts of color corrections to the footage before you apply Flicker Freak, and it'll use it. And that's really all there is to it. But to give you an idea of some of the other interesting things you can do, let's hop over to After Effects. And in this case, we actually have something more along the lines of what we would consider regular footage. It's a normal shot of just a girl talking. And we'll jump back to our comp. And of course, we've applied Flicker Freak to this as well. And you can see the settings that we've used here. In this case, we've increased the freak time to 6 and made the percentage 33%. So you're going to see a freak time of anywhere between 4 and 8. As 33% of 6 is 2, so it's going to be 6 plus or minus 2, giving us a range of 4 to 8. The other interesting thing I've done here is I've time remapped this clip and then wiggled the time remapping value so that it jumps all over the place. I've done a frequency of 15, a magnitude of 60, which is 2 seconds as far as the video goes. And so what's happening is I've got all these keyframes, and not only am I going to have the video flickering, I'm going to have it jumping all over the place. So let's render this out and see what this looks like. And you can see that not only is the video flickering, but she is flickering as time remapping causes the video to jump around to different frames. And so this creates, I think, something that's a pretty interesting horror type of effect. It would probably be a little bit better if you had her in a mask or some other crazy thing happening. But it's a pretty interesting effect that you can use. And this is particularly interesting if the background is staying completely stationary, but she's moving around, so that as the video is jumping around, it really looks like she's sort of morphing through time. But then you add the flicker element to it, and it creates a very interesting effect. So that's all there is to Flicker Freak. It's a pretty cool free plugin that allows you to add this sort of freaky flicker to your video, and uses a little bit of the technology we have in Flicker Free, our paid plugin for removing flicker, to do some of the color correction stuff. So have fun playing around with our free plugin. You can download it from www.digitalanarchy.com, where we have all sorts of other interesting stuff. Obviously our regular plugins for After Effects, Final Cut, Avid, DaVinci Resolve, all those good host applications. We have a couple other free plugins up there as well, some other resources, plenty of training videos and all that good stuff. So check out digitalanarchy.com, and we will see you in the next tutorial.